Hello everyone, welcome back to Decades. In today's video, we return to the Peak District National Park in Connor Jones's undeniably excellent Nissan Micra and his pet Flapjack, with the purpose of paying a visit to a fascinating site situated between the village of Castleton and Mam Tor, meaning we'd have to pass through the glorious Winnet's Pass. So now that we've used up our stock footage allowance, let's venture forth to the destination in question. A place claimed to be one of the oldest lead mines in England, and while it's unclear if that is the case, it certainly has a very long history indeed. For beneath the 517 metre tall shivering hill Mam Tor, just prior to what's known as the Broken Road, we can find the disused Odin Mine.
That is the most unsettling coloured water I have ever seen.
It's just your bathwater runoff, Ethan.
Oh yeah, I'll take a dip in that.
Not a lot is known for certain about Odin Mine's early history, but it's speculated to have first been worked by the Romans, and then the Saxons, and as its name would suggest, the Norsemen and Danes, colloquially known as the Vikings. But the evidence required to reinforce such claims is non-existent. The only thing clear about the origins of this mine is that it's unclear, but its name would suggest perhaps some Norse connection, even if fabricated, which isn't unlikely, and there's certainly an argument to be made for the Romans having a need of lead mining in order to facilitate their plumbing systems, and with this in mind, the county of Derbyshire is an absolute treasure trove, as in this area lead mining has certainly been abundant for a very long time indeed. During their time in Britain, the Romans certainly mined their fair share of galena, the natural mineral form of lead sulfide, so speculation of a Roman origin to this mine isn't wholly unfounded. However, its first mention in official documents comes in the year 1280, which is markedly after the Romans, Anglo-Saxons and Danes, when a poacher by the name of John of Belhag was put on trial for hunting in the areas in and around Castleton, including the entrance to Odin Mine. Meaning, at the very least, we can account for the site existing for well over 700 years. And that alone makes it the oldest documented mine in Derbyshire, and considering it was productive by that century, it had probably been established prior. In fact, analysis of an alpine ice core extracted from the Swiss-Italian border yielded traces of lead, believed to have been transported from mines in Great Britain sometime in the 12th century, indicating that air pollution due to lead between the years 1170 and 1220 were as high as during the Industrial Revolution. Simply put, the lead mining industry was in full swing by this time, and was a crucial part of the economy in the peaks. Unfortunately, Odin Mine would be further spared from official documentation for the best part of another 400 years, so let's spare a moment to talk about the significance of the mining industry in the Derbyshire area. And simply put, for centuries, many in this glorious region relied on lead mining as something of a way of life. The industry was undoubtedly characterised by difficult, hazardous work, contending with poisonous lead dust, underground flooding, poor ventilation and unstable rock, to name but a few ways in which a lead miner could meet their untimely end. And yet the rewards promised of not just a stable income, but upon the individual discovery of new lead deposits, were tricky to pass up, as the fortunate few were able to amass no shortage of wealth from the trade. In fact, the lead mining here was not just lucrative enough to support the country, but also to notably export abroad. And by the 17th century, the mining of lead had become a core pillar of the English economy. And as a resource, lead was always in demand. Glazing bars for windows, piping, roofs, and as the art of hunting and warfare evolved, ammunition. And with such a rich lead ore field here in Derbyshire, supplying the land with such a crucial resource was undoubtedly one of the most important industries in the peak. The traditional prospecting method for lead in the peaks entailed identifying veins in surface outcroppings and simply following them. Though the vast majority of surface lead had been mined by the turn of the 17th century, miners pivoted pursuing signs similar to other lead-rich areas. Due to lead's poisonous nature to most living things, poorly performing crops and unhealthy-looking plants and trees would be key indicators for the presence of the metal. And then once ore was identified, the miners would begin the difficult task of sinking shafts. It is unclear how Odin Mine itself came to be, as it already existed by this point, and it's unclear by whom the workings were first opened. However, the method of extracting ore would likely have homogenized to the methods employed in other mines, which prior to the widespread added hazard of explosives would have been to leave fires burning overnight before dousing the now hot rock with cold water the following day. And this sudden decrease in temperature would cause the rock to crack, allowing it to be dug out, which was undoubtedly still a grueling task. Anyway, Odin Mine itself would not see mention in any official documents again until 1663, by which point the mine was suffering from high water levels and poor ventilation, resulting in the owners agreeing to finance a new drainage sow, which is of course an underground channel with the purpose of draining water. And this would be completed over the course of the years that followed. However, it would not mark the end of Odin Mine's drainage troubles. Odin Mine would go quiet until the April of 1706, when a rich lead vein was discovered, with some 41 men and 8 women working the site, leading to a century in which Odin returned hundreds of tons of lead per year. Around this time, at the dawn of the 18th century, a man with a considerable stake in Odin would be Richard Bagshaw, who would serve as the High Sheriff of Derbyshire in 1721, and his family would sustain their interests in the mine until the 1850s, over the course of a 150-year period in which problems caused by drainage would once again become a pressing issue. And though there was a proposal to construct a new low-level sow in 1772, such a construct would not see establishment until halfway through the following century. The Bagshaw family would withdraw their holdings from the mine in 1856, and just over a decade later, in 1869, lead workings at Odin Mine would cease altogether. However, there would be some working at the mine in the early 20th century between the years of 1908 and 1909. Today, the remains of Odin Mine are quite simple in truth, nothing quite as grand as what you could find at Magpie Mine some 15 miles away by road, but there are a few aspects of note, I suppose. For instance, this 200-year-old crushing wheel that is 1.75 meters in diameter and was built in 1823 for the modest sum of £40. There's this limestone gorge that marks the beginnings of Odin Mine's workings, to the left of which is a 2-meter wide, 10-meter deep cave that Connor ventured into and farted, before turning and bringing forth a very important question.
What is the unladen airspeed velocity of a swallow?
And I don't know what's more disappointing, the reference or the butchering of it. And then of course you have the road, formerly known as the A625, that once upon a time ran past Odin Mine and along here, beneath Mam Tor, known today as the Broken Road, that was initially constructed using spoils from Odin Mine in the early 19th century, that was abandoned in 1979 following repeated Mam Tor related landslide incidents, and now the road's only really accessible on foot, as since its abandonment it's become impassable by motor vehicles, though I reckon the undisputed Goliath that is a K11 Nissan Micra could do it. Nevertheless, Odin Mine is certainly fascinating to visit, and the mystery surrounding its origins are perhaps what make it so. It certainly couldn't fill an entire day out, but perhaps part of one to the area. But with Castleton nearby that's home to Peveril Castle, and of course the cavern known as the Devil's Arse beneath it, and another cave within Castleton just at the mouth of Winnet's Pass, there's certainly enough in the area to justify a brief detour. Anyway, thank you for watching this short video. I doubt you'll have to wait as long for the next one, as we have several filmed and ready for, well, editing really. And of course we hope you enjoyed it, even if you use this content as background noise to fall asleep. Which of course there's no shame in, because as it turns out I do the exact same thing. Also, we recently hit a landmark of 2 years making videos on this channel, so thank you for all your support in that time. There is much, much more to come. And if you're new and you fancy joining us on this journey, be sure to hit subscribe. But with any luck, we hope to see you all very soon with another video here on Decades at some point in the near future. But until next time, please take care and goodbye.